Okay, so this is our check-in kiosk. We used to have people sign in just on pen and paper, but now we do everything through these iPads. Hopefully they're always looking like this for you. I'm going to walk you through basically what to do and then some troubleshoot options. So when a service member shows up, you're still going to need to see their ID unless they're in their uniform. So that part has not changed, but this is the actual signing in portion. You'll press begin check-in, the service member will, and then if they have never been to the USO since we've implemented this new check-in procedure, they will need to create a profile. If they have been to another center or to our center since we've implemented this, then they will not need to create a profile. So the question is, have you checked in before? So if they have checked in using this before, the answer would be yes. If they have not, it is no. This is connected to every USO center, whether it's a center or an airport location and overseas, so they all connect and talk to each other. So if they happen to be out at LAX and they had stopped by the USO at the airport there and created a profile, they will not need to create a profile again when they come here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what it shows like if it's yes. So it's, have you checked in before? I'm going to press yes. Right here it's going to pop up, it's going to say find your profile. You're going to click this, and then it says email lookup. For the most part, they should fill out their email here. There are scenarios where people have accidentally entered the incorrect email by just fat thumbing it, or maybe it auto-corrected and they didn't notice it. So if they're not finding their profile, but they know they created one, have them put in their first and last name. They might be able to find it that way as well. So I'm going to start typing in my email. So I have a profile in here already, and it's my USO one. So it's always going to take just a second. Obviously, if your email is really long, it's going to take longer. So I only did half of it in hopes that it would show up, and it didn't. So I'm going to keep typing. Okay, so I typed in my whole email. Sometimes it does work for half of it. It didn't in my situation. So right here it says my name, so I know this is me. Now here's where people get tripped up. You have to click the name. Okay, so then people will think that they're done here. They're not done. This just shows that you're on the correct profile right here. You're going to press continue check-in. When I say you, I mean the service member, but I want you to be able to know how to walk through this if a service member needs help. Then here is the visit details questions. Is your spouse with you today? Most likely the answer is going to be no. Obviously there are situations where their spouse is with them. The next one shows how many children are with them. So it will say none automatically unless there are children with you. You can click it and it'll drop down and give you an option to put how many children. And then it says programs and services. Are you here today to attend a specific program? This is another place where people get tripped up. The programs that it's referring to right here are things like pancake breakfasts, if we have a cookout, things that are like events. And in your brain, you should think more like events versus programs. So the answer today is no. I'm just here to stop in and watch some TV, maybe grab a cup of coffee. So I'm going to click down here where it says services, and you can click multiple services. Or just one. So when I'm here, I'm probably going to get something to eat or drink. I'm going to probably be on the free Wi-Fi, and I'm going to be relaxing. So I'm going to click 3 of them. Then this blue button down here says check-in. And it dings. It has to ding. If it does not ding, that means that it didn't go through correctly, okay? So that is what someone does if they've already created a profile. Now, in the sense that someone has not created a profile, they will do the first thing again, begin check-in. Then the answer is no, they have not been here before. So something's going to pop up that says complete profile. Here, it's going to ask some details. It's going to ask for first and last name, email, age range, and what service they're affiliated with. The things that have the red asterisks, they for sure have to fill out. The age range, they do not, but it's good data for us to be able to kind of understand the people who do show up and what age they're in. So as they click, so if they click that they're a service member, it's going to drop down and ask more questions, which branch and what their rank. If I clicked officer, for example, it's going to ask the pay grade, and that's going to drop down, and they're going to click one of those. When they press continue check-in, once they filled out everything, it'll go to that same screen that you saw earlier that asked if a spouse was with you and what services you're here for. And it'll ding the same way, and they'll be done. I'm not going to create a profile right now to show you this just because I don't want a fake profile in our system. But basically, if it doesn't work at this step, it's because they didn't fill out a specific question. So if it's not going through to the next one, for example, this is showing red that I didn't actually complete this. Okay, so now this is a good point for me to show you some troubleshoot options. If you can't figure out how to get out of this screen, say it's froze up or it's acting funny and they're not able to click, sometimes since it's a touch screen, things can be sensitive. Maybe the screen's gotten dirty. What you can do if it's any of those situations, if it's just not working and it needs to be rebooted, I think that's the right word, you're going to double click quickly. The keyword is quickly at this little circle button down here. Double click and it gets smaller. You're going to take this with your finger and swipe up. That is going to close out the app. Then you can click this home button again and you'll see the app right here that's called Formula. Formyoula. It is also down here. It's purple. You can click either one of them. So you're going to click it. And it's going to take you back to forms. And as you can see, there's plenty of forms on here. The one that you're going to use to sign individuals in is going to be the U.S. individual check-in. Okay, so when you click that, it'll take you back up to that home screen that we were originally at. This is also a great place to show you. There's also the exit survey. So one of our kiosks is always set up for the exit survey. So here is where you'd go if you needed to pull that up. Also, if there's a United Through Reading that's going on and someone wants to do a United Through Reading, there is the United Through Reading option right here as well. That is what they have to do to complete a United Through Reading. And then also, if our Wi-Fi happens to go down, there is an offline version of the individual check-in. And that is important so that way, even when we're offline, we're still able to capture the data. If all else fails and you have to just, maybe there's a bus that shows up and they bring 60 service members in and it's just taking too long because no one has created a profile, you can go to this master staff form right here. And then what you'll do once you've counted everybody, you'll click foot traffic. And you'll put the date, which would be the date that you counted everybody. So hopefully, you know, you'll do it right after you're done with that. And it'll say audience. This is asking who it was. So if it's a bus of service members that get dropped off, you would press service members. And then you would click add service member instance. So when you had 60 service members dropped off, if you aren't familiar by looking at a uniform, which branch they're in, make sure you ask. So that way you can fill this out correctly. If there's multiple branches that are coming in at the same time, you'll keep track of those separately. So we would have 5 Air Force and 20 Army. Those would be separate instances. So I'll show you how to make a separate one. So let's just pretend they were all the same branch and they were all Army. Here is the number served. So if the bus dropped off 60, then you would type in 60. You would just count how many of them, and then you would press the word add. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make the number smaller so it doesn't really mess with our numbers, just so you can get an idea. So let's say 5. You would never do it for a small number like that, but this is just to give you an example. Okay, so then I'm going to press the word add. And it added 5. And then if there was another large group that came in, you could do add service member instance and then add another one. And you can keep adding them. And once you're done adding them, so 5 Army, 7 Air Force, and then another instance, you could do Navy and that sort of thing. Then you'd press submit. And that would calculate all those people without them having to create a profile. So this is good when we have large groups dropped off all at the same time. It kind of speeds it up, but also encourage them later in the day to come back and actually create their profile. So you're done with this and it's been submitted. To get out of this screen and back to the normal sign-in screen, it's the same thing. You double click, you're going to swipe up. You're then going to click the home screen again. You'll see the app right here, or you'll see it down here. You can click it, and then this is where all of the forms pop up again, and you'll find the U.S. individual check-in. That's the one for programs, so that would be for like if we had a big event, a cookout, a pancake breakfast, this would be the sign-in for that one. But if it's just the regular sign-in for a regular day, it's the individual check-in right here. And you're back to the home screen.